Hello, it's Friday once again, so you know what that means. It's time for another edition of Artisan Weekly. What are we up to this week? Well, uh, as part of Jump 24, we've been releasing some of our Laravel Live UK interviews that we did a couple of weeks ago. So if you've not had a chance to check them out, I recommend heading over to our YouTube. We're also starting to get major FOMO because we've got Laracon US next week, and I'm already seeing lots of really cool things. So it looks like it's going to be a great event. Can't be there, but yeah. So let's dig into this week's top 10 then. So in first place, I'm talking about Laracon US. Um, Matt Stauffer announced the puzzle. So every Laracon US they do a puzzle for Titan as Titan, and this one is above and beyond really. He has replicated the venue, and so you could go to the URL he says there. You can walk around the venue. You can go and see the visitors, the sponsors booths. And not only that, you will be able to watch a live stream of the event. So yeah, if you want to, if you're not lucky enough to go, head over here because there's going to be a lot of people hopefully there. So you'll be able to, get that experience of seeing it. Obviously, make it feel a bit more. But yeah, like it's an awesome job he's put together doing this, and it's worth checking out for sure. Next up, then, we've got a post here by Eric. So, I mean, it's a problem I know I've had before. Let's say you want to get the top three authors with their latest three articles or something like that. And obviously, there's multiple ways to do this. Like you can write, do two queries, things like that, to get away from N+1 problems and stuff. But Eric talks us through using MySQL's lateral derived tables, which is something I hadn't seen up until now. So it's a good post. Gives you some a really nice way of solving the problem and just doing it in one query, so you get all the data back. So again, helps with performance. Obviously, there's a few caveats, but it does help. Helps with those N+1 issues, and also helps with the number of queries that you need to run to do it. And then next up, it's the latest episode of the Laravel podcast. This time, Matt has got Taylor. This is a really great, a really good podcast. This season, he's been interviewing all the Laravel team. This one's good because it was like an honest conversation with Taylor, and he gives some really good, honest answers. I really like when Matt asked him about the spicy Twitter, like he's back. He seems to be more like his old self on Twitter, and what had happened, what happened. And Taylor gives some great, honest answers. So yeah, if you kind of want to know what goes into the mind of Taylor Otwell, it's worth checking out. Next up, then we've got this post by True Async on Twitter. It talks about why the PHP JIT loses performance with arrays. So if you've wondered why, you've got a huge array, or array with massive amount of elements, and the performance seems to degrade, here is a really nice explanation of why that happens. Next up, then, we've got this video from the Laravel Cloud team. So you might be wondering, should I, my next project, should I be using Laravel Cloud or should I be using private cloud? You might not know the differences. What they each have their benefits, some drawbacks and things like that. But in this video, Devon and James Brooks go through them and kind of give you an insight to what the differences are and when you could possibly look to use private cloud over normal Laravel Cloud. Next up, then, we've got this latest post by Wendell. Now, Wendell always does some really, really good deep dives into things like, the request lifecycle, schedulers, things like that. And this one is about PHP attributes. Now, there's more and more attributes being added over time. The framework has them, being added pretty much every kind of point release. And yeah, he goes into good detail here about, why, and when you can use them and things like that. So if you want to know more about PHP attributes, I do recommend giving this one a read. And next up, then we've got Len's weekly video over on the Artisan Builder YouTube channel. I've featured this a few times, but it's because he actually does a really good job of explaining what's been going on, and it makes it really simple to understand. And there's been a lot this week. So he talks about the RFCs, the things that are gone into voting, any of the communications and things like that that's been going back and forth. He kind of highlights particular comments or particular threads that might have happened. And it kind of helps you kind of keep in track, with what's going on in the internals, in a nice digestible way. And then next up then, we've got this post by Steve McDougall. You all know him, the API guy. This one's going into, kind of building bulletproof Laravel APIs. Again, like it says, they're using schema-first contracts. So makes your APIs much better. He talks to you, starts off with talking about form requests and how, the reasons why they're badding APIs and things like that. His example here is the form request looks for email company source. You could send over all of this stuff and you're just going to get a 201 okay. Now, that might make you think, oh, okay, well, the field's supported, because we're not saying, hey, is admin isn't supported or something like that. So yeah, he talks about using these schema first, as a way of doing this contract validation. So if you're thinking about building an API and you want to kind of look at hardening it and making that stuff better, I would head over to read this post, but also check out some of Steve's other posts as well, because he does a lot of this API related stuff that really does help. And then next up, we've got another post by Eric, but this one's over in the Laravel magazine. So this talks about building a secure webhook receiver in Laravel. Now, you might have done this before, thinking, oh, I've done a really good job of this, and actually there's certain things that you might miss, certain scenarios you might have not thought about. So Eric has got a really nice run through on how to do that. So there's going to be something you can learn from that for sure. And then finally, over on LaraPlugins, so they recently, as I said, they recently got a score of 151 on the LaraPlugins Proof of Usefulness. Now, I've not heard about this before, so I thought it was quite interesting just to read through it and find out more about what that is. And I wonder if we're going to see more of these kind of scores over time on things. But yeah, if you've not heard of it yourself and you just would like to read, find out a bit more about it, and why they got that score, head over here and give that one a read as well. So that's it for this week. That's our top 10. If there's anything you liked, please do reach out to those authors on Twitter, LinkedIn, say thanks. Great bit of content. And also, if you would like to receive this as an email, we do a newsletter, so head over to artisanweekly.com and subscribe, and you'll get this into your inbox every Friday morning. So yeah, thanks very much for watching, and have a great week.